What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through the injuries on this 4-game slate. I want to thank everybody in our Discord, especially in the props channel, who are joining us today. Out of maybe some advertising tricks by me, also maybe just a line actually did move, and I was going to announce a bet, and it's no longer there. We'll see if it comes back. But yeah, welcome to everybody who's joining us for the first time, hopefully many times thereafter. Make sure to press, smash, or hit that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Whenever we go live, you'll get notifications. Mike, how are you on this fine Tuesday?
Great. Got a hike in. A little sad you didn't go num for the smash button and all that good stuff, but doing good.
Yeah, it's 4-game slate, a little bit of a break. I was a little burnt out last week. I feel a little bit more in a groove on the NBA side of things. We had a great night in props last night. I know a lot of people had really good nights in DFS last night as well. So feeling good about the projections being a little bit dialed in. Have my own props report that shows how everything that we project would do against the market. And we're doing pretty well. So I'm feeling good about things. Not feeling great about the injuries on this 4-game slate, though, because we're missing some big players on this slate. Let's start with the New Orleans Pelicans, who are going to be without Herb Jones. Whose guy?
My guy.
Your guy. Zion Williamson, Dank's guy. Brandon Ingram, no one's guy. All out tonight. How are the Pelicans? They're a very deep team, but how are they going to change their rotation without these 3 main players?
So Brandon Ingram's the easy part. Fans guy, Trey Murphy, pretty much slotting into his role. We know he's not as great on-ball scorer, but he could fill it up, has a lot of variety to the way he scores. Can't quite take over a game the way Ingram does, but he'll be picking up those minutes, and then you'll be looking at a mixture of Devontae Graham, probably a lot of Garrett Temple, who will be more or less of Devontae picking up kind of behind him for the wing scoring minutes there. Then looking at Zion, this one's a little trickier because you've got Larry Nance, who had a lot of experience as a 4-man earlier in his career, hasn't been a 4-man almost at all this season. He's only had 4 minutes of overlap with Valanciunas, only 42 minutes all of last year. Certainly some injuries to Nance, but only 42 minutes when they played decent amount of games together. Pretty good indication that they're viewing him more of a center, but they may have to go that way, at least for some of the minutes, especially in a matchup against the Mavs where they may want some more size to throw at Luka. We know that Nance has been really, really switchable. Jackson Hayes had his elbow heavily wrapped, just returned from that injury, kind of beat his timeline. So he's going to play probably not a ton of minutes. Maybe we see Billy Hernan-Gomez behind Valanciunas. We know bigs have really struggled in Luka matchups too. So something to, a lot of push and pull for the front court stuff. And then Herb, Najee Marshall was subbing in behind Herb in the preseason. They view him as a similar kind of on-ball defender. He should be picking up a pretty good bit of the Herb role, picking up some. It's curious to see if Dyson Daniels, who was an on-ball guy before he got hurt, probably see him get some minutes. Don't know if it's going to be on Luka. Maybe it's in the Spencer Dinwiddie staggered minutes because he's giving up a lot of size and strength. He's actually a pretty big guy for a point guard. He's 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan or so. So
yeah, he's just young.
Yeah, young and slim. And then we'll see Alvarado getting more overlap. We saw a lot of overlap with him and CJ McCollum down the stretch of the last game because they didn't have Brandon Ingram and Zion and Herb for brief stretches as well. So he'll be picking up run, expecting him to come off the bench, expecting the starting lineup to for sure be CJ, Trey Jones, Najee Marshall, I would say for sure. Valanciunas, I'd say for sure. Leaning Nance, but it could be a litany of guys. They could go small. They could run out. I wouldn't be shocked if they start Dyson Daniels. I'd be pretty surprised if they start Alvarado. But definitely thinking those 5 are pretty safe. Could be Jackson Hayes too. We saw Jackson Hayes get a lot of starts last year when Zion wasn't available.
Yeah. So basically, we think Najee subs for Herb, Trey Murphy for Brandon Ingram, and then the Zion spot is a little bit of unknown whether they want to play up in terms of size or down in terms of size and how they view Larry Nance. So we could see any one of Alvarado, Larry Nance, or Jackson Hayes, I think, in that starting role. I think it's most likely Larry Nance, but we'll see if it's Jackson Hayes. As well. But it's one of those 3 guys. They're a deep team. You should see a lot of usage funnel to CJ McCollum. You're going to want to play a lot of Pels tonight. even though it's a tough matchup against Dallas. There's a lot of value that opens up when Zion and Brandon Ingram are, you take the usage out of the rotation, and then you take Herb Jones minutes as well. So you're going to be playing a lot of Pels tonight. On that note, I want to thank everybody in chat as well for being super helpful. I see someone asking about how to, get access to the ETR Discord, and I see people really helping out. So appreciate the vibes in chat as always. All right, let's move it on to the Clippers. Despite a 4-game slate, we still have lots of injury news. The Clippers are doing one of the things that I thought they would do this year that I thought made Paul George and Kawhi kind of uniquely valuable in specific types of season-long contests, which were the daily head-to-head transactions where you could move your roster in and out on a daily basis. Because they sat Kawhi last game, now they're sitting Paul George this game. And I think there's going to be a lot of that this year, where they kind of alternate sitting these guys out and try to work their way through the regular season and load manage them. There's no Marcus Morris as well. He's away from the team for personal reasons. So with no Kawhi Leonard, no Marcus Morris, we know the Clippers, like the Pelicans, are a very deep team, can play 11 guys if they wanted to. Who do you see picking up the minutes here in the absence of those front court players?
We know they've been waiting for Trey Mann to be their super sub because they play him
Terrence
really
Mann.
1 through 5. I'm sorry, I do that. Well, he's playing against Trey Mann, so it's the Man Bowl. But yeah, we know Terrence Mann could be looking at a pretty good role, probably starting. I would say the starters are going to be Reggie, Norm. They probably start Amir Coffey, I guess. I mean, it'd be Amir or Mann. Probably going Batum in the Marcus Morris spot, Zubats, and then you've got the bench unit with Brandon Boston coming in there. A lot of Terrence Mann. I got it right that time. A little bit more Robert Covington. Maybe Covington starts as well.
I think Covington would be my guess to start, but we'll see.
Yeah. They've got a lot of options. Certainly don't have to worry about SGA and Josh Giddey on the other side. So a lot of options, but definitely expecting Mann, whether it's a 6-man role or starting role, picking up a pretty good amount of minutes. And we'll see if we get a little bit of overlap with Reggie and Wall. I don't think we've seen any yet. I have to check that for the DFS show.
We have not.
That could be something on the table.
Yeah, we have not. And then I would also note that it's really interesting with Ty Lue. He kind of, in terms of like going small and going big, he kind of does the opposite of whatever the opponent does. So like if he plays a team that's really big, he likes to go super small. If he plays teams that are pretty small, he sometimes likes to stay a little bit bigger. This looks like a really good spot for Zubats tonight against the Oklahoma City team that's pretty thin in the front court. You lose a lot of usage from having Paul George out. You also have Kawhi still on a minutes limit, John Wall still on some sort of minutes limit that's going to be managed. So you could see a Zubats kind of explosion spot tonight. And then you will get some value between Terrence Mann, Robert Covington, Norm Powell, Luke Kennard. Somebody's going to pop here, John Wall, somebody, but it's going to be a little bit tougher to pinpoint just because there's still so many guys, even without Paul George and Marcus Morris, that the minutes aren't necessarily going to condense heavily, would be my guess. I would guess like, I'm trying to think, like Kawhi's probably still in this like 25 to 28 range. Norm Powell could maybe get to the low 30s, maybe Terrence Mann could, but I think it's going to be a lot of guys playing mid-20s. I think it's going to end up kind of looking like a preseason game type box score when you look at it. What are your thoughts on that in terms of who could really potentially get up there in minutes?
For the Clippers? Sorry, I tuned out for just a quick sec. Yeah, probably Norm, right? Norm, maybe Zubats. Like we said, they're probably, I think they're going to look to Batum at the 4. It'd be Luke Kennard, but they just got some, like you're taking out two pieces.
Like if I said you had to bet on somebody to get 30 minutes tonight for the Clippers, what would your top 3 be in terms of who you would bet?
Probably Norm and Reggie. That's probably it. Top 3, I guess.
Yeah.
Zoo.
Point being, they're still going to be pretty deep, and they're still. I think it's going to look like kind of a preseason type box score with like a lot of 25s to 28s. So against Oklahoma City, you can still get there on a 4-game slate, but just be prepared. I don't think it condenses in a way that you might think with some of these star situations out. Speaking of OKC, nightmare situation to project. No Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, no Josh Giddey, still no Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams, as many like to refer. Oklahoma City has given a couple quotes this preseason that have already, or this season that have already been very frustrating. First and foremost, they've said they do not intend to announce starters because they want a competitive advantage, which if you were actually trying to win games during most of the season, fine. I get it. That's a fine quote. I understand where you're coming from. When you're actively not trying to win games, go F off. Get out of here, Dagnall. Yeah. Competitive advantage, come on. It's ridiculous. You're actively trying to lose games. You've been doing it for 3 years. Please stop. So with that said, they also, the other quote was that they said they're basically going to play everybody. And from night to night, you never know who's going to play. It's good luck, Godspeed. There's a lot of usage here without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey and Jalen Williams. Who could potentially fill it? Who would you be interested in from OKC tonight?
Dort. Other than that, I feel, because to add to the Dagnall quote, he said that they're, at the time when everyone was healthy, he's like, hey, we'll start SGA, Giddey, and Dort and mix it up after that. Really, anybody was on the table. Jalen Williams would have probably got some starts at the 4. They were doing that a lot in the preseason. That's the good Jalen Williams. This is bad, man. Basie's minutes got cooked. They've only got, really one reliable ball handler. We saw Isaiah Joe get garbage time minutes at point guard. Curious to see if he gets playing time.
Yeah, there's 3 guys, 4 guys that I think they'll allow to handle the ball. 2 of them that are guardish guys and 2 that are more forward big guys. And that's Trey Mann, Isaiah Joe on the guard side, and then Kenrich Williams and Alexei Pokusevski on the forward side. They're comfortable letting those guys bring up the ball and handle a little bit.
And Dort. We saw a lot of PG Dort when they were shorthanded too, so I would expect him to pick up a pretty big role. And you would think a lot of his minutes aren't going to line up with Kawhi, so that kind of helps as well. So pretty good spot for Dort. Clippers having offensive issues, but their defense should be pretty good. So it's a pretty ugly spot. Big spread, 10 points. It's going to be gross, man. It makes sense on kind of a small slate to fire at it. From a GPP perspective, we'll talk more about that on the show, but 12-man rotation in the first half. That was pre-Giddey injury. It's just going to be gross. I have legit no idea who's going to start at the 4-5. It could be anybody. They could dust off. They haven't given the bad Jalen Williams a chance yet. This may be the opportunity to do so against a bigger guy in Zoo. They don't have a lot of traditional 5s. So this may be a spot for him. I have no confidence in anything here, though. This is just going to be a gross situation.
Yeah. Chat is offering bribes to egg Dagnall's house. I can't be a part of I can't be an accomplice to crimes. So but do what you think I would want most. But I can't be an accomplice to crimes. All right. No Tim Hardaway Jr. for Dallas, or he's doubtful. What is your expectation in terms of how Dallas tries to fill the THG role tonight?
Should be a little bit of more Josh Green. They are going to have Facu Campazzo available. I don't know if they need to go there. They do like Josh Green. He would be picking up some minutes. Curious to see if they go a little bit bigger. We know we're going to see a lot of bigger front courts, or we should see bigger front courts than we're used to with the Pelicans. So they could run Maxey more at the 4. Maybe run out Christian Wood's minutes a little bit higher. He's been really held in check minutes-wise, been really productive, insane usage rate in that time. So I think those guys could sneakily benefit, but Reggie Bullock's minutes have been down, and we saw late last year when they were missing guys, they would run him up to upper 30s at times. So he could be a guy that plays pretty good amount of minutes here. So, Luka and Dinwiddie also could get a little bit more of a boost, especially when Spencer is staggered away from Luka. I could see him putting up some pretty good numbers in that 13, 14 minute range.
Yeah, it certainly is. Most likely, the big thing is Tim Hardaway Jr. mostly plays in that second unit, more aligned with Spencer Dinwiddie, and he's going to be replaced by somebody who is a lower rates player. And so him and Christian Wood, Spencer Dinwiddie and Christian Wood, are going to have even less competition for touches in that second unit. And Christian Wood has put up some eye-popping usage and rebounding rate numbers early in the season. He's got 35% usage rate. There's even less competition for that tonight in the matchup against New Orleans. I actually feel like it would be easier to predict this situation if Zion was playing, because we would know that New Orleans is going to be so big up front that they're going to have to shift everything into bigger and bigger lineups. Because Zion's not playing, because Ingram's not playing, because Herb's not playing, there's more different combinations on both sides in terms of going small or big that could happen in this game that's a little bit harder to project. But I think anybody who's really taking the minutes from Hardaway Jr. is going to be, fringy from a DFS consideration. The most applicable guys are probably, in terms of gaining in minutes, are probably guys like Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Maxi Kleber, who all see a little bit more minutes ceiling to them, but all pretty low point per minute producers on a 4-game slate. Viable, but just beware.
Yeah,
right,
hoping for some Hardy minutes, but definitely not DFS relevant for sure. And got a shout out chat for the Jamal Lucas 50-cent reference. I see you there.
Let's go to Golden State. Dante DiVincenzo is out for Golden State, going to be out a little while here. That really clears up the rotation a little bit in terms of they had been tinkering with whether to have an 11-man rotation or not because they wanted to get everybody minutes. Now it's a pretty clean 10, and there's space for Moses Moody.
Yeah, Moses Moody going to slot into Dante's role seems pretty likely there, and we'll see if they slide up Kuminga because they seem like they want to play Weissman pretty good minutes, and it's just a nasty fit with Weissman and Kuminga. So curious to see if they're going to use Kuminga to supplement earlier and maybe try to not overlap those Weissman Kuminga minutes as much. That makes sense from an offensive scheme standpoint to have more of the spacing guys out there with one of those guys, mainly Kuminga. So maybe Wiggins comes out earlier. Getting into the weeds a little bit here, but yeah, that'll be their rotation. We know that they want to go pretty deep. Expect the minutes to come up a little bit more. One thing we'll be watching is, are they going to up their minutes a little bit more in a game that they're going to want to get against the Suns? That they usually play pretty well against them. So yeah, something to watch there. If we see more minutes from Clay, going to be a steady ramp up over the course of 2 weeks. We're at a week now, so maybe these things start to tick up. Same with Draymond, but yeah, I'm curious to see if how Wiseman does. Wiseman's been such a headache. It's been really good on the offensive side, but yeah, we kind of have a good feel for what this rotation is going to be while we wait for DiVincenzo.
Yeah, and they should have maybe Ty Jerome active now, which I think Ty Jerome's a good NBA player. I've been surprised that he hasn't caught on anywhere when he signed with Golden State. I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought there might be one night this year, just one night where we might get a Ty Jerome night. It is not tonight. But yeah, I think this will be fairly straightforward with a 10-man rotation, and we might see starters extend a little bit more because of the rivalry with Phoenix. So that is everything on the injury report. I don't think I missed anything. Gallagher, did I?
No. I think so. Nothing new. That's pretty much it. Pretty small slate today. Big slate tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So if you are a subscriber to Established Run's NBA in-season DFS product, you will see myself and Mike Gallagher at 5 p.m. Eastern time behind the paywall breaking down this 4-game slate a little bit more in-depth on the rotation changes and how we think it could impact potential GPP plays and also cash game plays on this slate. You can check out all of our content if you'd like to subscribe over at Establish the Run Subscribe NBA tab. And you can check out, we've got the props package, the in-season DFS package, so on and so forth. If you are uninterested in paying for premium content, I understand. You could at least do from the kindness of your heart, hit that, smash that, press that like button and subscribe button on the YouTube channel to continue to allow us to give you this free content. As always, we want to feed the algorithms. Nom, 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 nom. You feed the algorithms, you feed us. We keep giving you the free content. That's how it rolls. We'll be back at 2 o'clock Eastern tomorrow with another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Take care, everybody.